What's up, guys? Today, this is Carbonyl Dota bringing you 6 tips you need to make it to Immortal on mid. This is going to be focused not on the super specific like creep aggro mechanics in the lane. That's not a strength of mine. You know, it's not what I would... If I make it to 6k as mid, that's not why. It's because I do all the macro things correctly, so that's what we're going to talk about today. So tips 1 and 2 are related, and they are go for runes and expect your enemy to go for runes. I actually started the game by warding here, and they dewarded it, unfortunately, but the point of my ward here was to scout Mirana rotations, or their position 4 rotations, to this top rune. That's a huge part of why the rune matters, or why the ward matters in mid, is so that you see rotations coming. Like, yeah, it's good for creep aggro purposes too, but like with people like being really good at global aggro, it doesn't really matter so much. But being able to see rotations coming is really nice. So like, you know, I don't know what's here, but right, this Lesh has a ward here. This will scout like if the ogre comes over or something. It's just helpful to have. So that's the first 2 tips, and I will show you what I mean in terms of playing for runes in this game and expecting the enemy to be playing for runes in this game. So let's get into it. As you'll note here, I feed first blood. Or actually, technically it's not first blood, which is nice. You know, I don't want to give this guy first blood. But give me some credit. This guy is a rank 400 mid player. And, or, you know, I don't know if he mains mid, but he seemed pretty good. I am, you know, a lowly rank 1000 not mid player. So I feed to this guy, but then I start focusing on the runes from here on out after he gets the 2 water runes. Here I could have made this rotation even earlier, but I decided to go for this bounty rune. And the reason I do this, normally I think this would be bad. I'm bringing it up because my tips are to play around the runes, so this is me playing around a rune in this game. And the reason I did it here is because this Lesh is a lot stronger than me right now, given that he killed me and then got both the water runes. He is willing to be really aggressive and zoning me with this mana. So I just thought playing away from him, getting the bounty rune, and in a sense, because I put myself behind, I tried to take the bounty rune so that, like, to sort of, like, mitigate that a little bit for my team. I was like, well, if I steal their bounty rune, then, like, that, like, sort of puts my team slightly ahead of them. You know, it's like the swing of gold, like, we get it and they don't, versus them getting us and us not. It's like, I'll just get the bounty, I'll miss another CS in lane, whatever, and, you know, sort of help my team out a little bit and make sure they can't get this rune. But then you'll see at the 4-minute rune, what do? I play around it. Right. And this is also, remember, tip 1, play around the runes. Tip 2, expect the enemy to play around the runes, guys. And, you know, if you're super low MMR, maybe they won't, but, like, they should. You gotta expect it. So here, it's just a Mirana, right? And the Lesh went for the other one, so I wasn't really afraid. Like, obviously, I could have not gotten it. Like, I could have clicked his buttons a little faster, or, you know, I don't know who had lower ping or whatever, but I went for it, even though the Mirana was there. If that's, like, a support that's gonna solo kill you, like, don't go get it, you know? Like, that's like a, I don't know, like a Clockwork or something. I don't know, maybe I get away from Clockwork with Heavenly Jump. I don't know. If they're going to, like, really threaten you, then, like, don't go for that. But you should be looking to go for it, but at the same time, be ready if the enemy support shows up. The third tip I have for you guys, I'm going to continue covering these first 2 tips and show you how important they are as this game proceeds, because these 2 tips matter, like, the entire game, not just, like, the first, like, 4 minutes. So, tip number 3 is backpack. As you see, I'm doing your backpack your items when you're using your bottle charges. This is so important. And it's less important with 2 iron branches versus, like, when I get my arcane boots and I'm backpacking my arcane boots, but, like, it's so important to just be in this habit and to do it continuously. So I will show you as this game progresses, I do this continuously, and it really just nets you so much more mana over time. So this next tip, before we get into any more rune shenanigans, is going to be protect your tower at all costs. Your mid tower is honestly... If your mid tower's up and theirs is not, you're winning mid, even if you fed them solo, you know? Like, the tower is so important as to, like, how well the mid lane goes. Losing your mid tower early for no reason, or not for no reason, but because, like, you don't take steps to prevent it from happening, if there was something you could have done, is really bad, guys. So here, I get really creative. So this Lesh is trying to... He cut my wave, right? There's a catapult here. He's got another wave coming. So what this guy wants to happen is this creep wave... tank for the catapult puts on more pressure, the Lesh gets like another W off maybe, it looks like he's lower on mana, I didn't know that, right? But like free tower damage. So instead of letting that happen, yeah, so you look at, he could like cast another W here and pressure this tower if I was just like casually farming under my tower, right? And then meanwhile, they're catapulting it. So I pull the creeps away from my tower so that the catapult dies. Like, this Lesh doesn't want to tank for the catapult right now. It's way too early in the game. And I tie this in with a 6-minute rune rotation. Remember, guys, be at the rune. And this Lesh probably should have come to this rune because he saw I was coming here versus the other one because he's way stronger than me. Although I guess he's out of mana, which I didn't really see. So maybe he didn't feel like he was way stronger than me. I don't get the rune, but the important thing is I'm there. I was ready to get the rune. Also, in terms of tip number 2, expect the enemy to get the rune. I actually was like, man, if this Mirana shows up, I might be screwed. Luckily, the Mirana didn't like have like a arrow coming out and like arrow me with like 4 creeps attacking me and then the rune not being there. So it's a little lucky for me, but try and weigh in your calculus, like, am I going to die if I just go for this rune? And sometimes, maybe you're like, if I die, I die. That's kind of what I thought there. I was like, if I die, I die, but I really want to try and get this rune. If anything, it just denies it from the Lesh, which can be really important. And here again, keep your tower alive. I draw these creeps behind the tower so that the tower will not attack the creeps, because that's what Lesh wants, because Lesh just wants to stand here with his freaking Diabolic Edict going. So draw the creeps behind the tower, then he can't do that, because this guy does not want to tank the tower right now. And yeah, he can like stay on the right spot and like, I think, do it from fog, but I don't know, for whatever reason this guy doesn't do it. So maybe he's just not a mid player, and I'm just bad for feeding early. Copium. Alright, my next tip here, and this is something I don't do well this game, but like you guys need to be thinking about it, especially if you're mid players, is get another ward up, like around the 5-minute mark. My first one got dewarded, I tried to have it up. It would have expired by now anyways. Try and get this ward up as close to 5 minutes as possible. Hopefully your team's not like buying all your obs off cooldown, because it's really important as a mid player that you get another obs mid. I don't have any like super go-to tips on like exactly where to place it, you just come. I just feel it out for myself. Like, where do I think they're not gonna like instantly deward it, right? If they have a ward, where can I put it so that their ward probably doesn't see me placing my ward? So here what I do, I got this ward like around minute 6, and then I haven't been able to place it because of all those shenanigans that were happening until now. But I come and place it behind here, and this ward actually ends up getting us a kill in a minute. But it's just really important to have it up and be able to have some sort of sense of like, is the enemy going on you? Like, what is it gonna happen? So really important there. That is tip number 5. I don't think I mentioned that. That's tip number 5, guys. Get another ward up around mid between like 5 to 7 minutes. Ideally before 6, so like it impacts like the rune the power rune plays at 6. But try and get it up ASAP. Buy that ward at like 5 minutes and get it out and get it placed down, and do your best to make sure it doesn't get dewarded. This is where this clock just like scouted this Lesh walking up because of this ward, and we end up killing this Lesh rack, which is huge. And I'm gonna note again, back to tips 1 and 2, play for the runes and expect the enemy to play for the runes. So here, I specifically walk towards the other rune because I know if it spawns bottom, I'll definitely get it. Versus if it spawns top, I should be there like ASAP so that the enemy doesn't get it. So I actually have a little indecision here. It slows me down. And then I realized I pre-juked. I didn't see this Mirana. I pre-juked. I was like, crap, what if somebody's here? So I sort of turned back, and then I went forward again, but I was expecting something to happen. I was expecting them to be at this rune, and that's why I don't get hit by that arrow there. And that's why I get this rune. So really important, play for the runes. I was there as soon as I could have been there like a half second sooner, but I was playing for the runes right on the timings. It's so important. Like, you just have to get this ingrained. If you're forgetting rune timings as a mid laner, that is the #1 thing you should work on. If you're like not realizing that the rune is spawning, that's the only thing that matters about that's the only thing you need to worry about fixing. Honestly, it's so important. Because at low Mars, you'll just be there before them, because they will not be there on time. At high Mars, multiple people are going to be there like before the rune spawn. So like, you really need to know this. Like, forgetting it is just not an option. All right, and we're going to come back to tip number 4, which remember was keep your tower alive as long as possible. So this Lesh makes another play to pressure our tower, and he's still stronger than me here. Sorry, I shouldn't fast forward through this. He's still stronger than me here, but I can prevent him from being on here by just harassing him down. So notice I'm just using all my mana on this guy, not because I like want to waste my mana, but I'm just like, dude, get away from my tower. Get away from my tower. Get away from my tower. That's what I'm trying to do here. He glyphed his own wave to like try and pressure that tower. So I just used all my mana on him. Not all of it, but I used a lot of my mana on him. And that was just to get him away from my tower. Keep your tower alive as long as possible. The converse of this, which isn't a tip in this video because it doesn't really apply because I'm a Zeus, is like pressure their tower as much as you can, especially if they like leave to make rotations. But I'm a Zeus and I don't really do that, so not really a tip in this video. Something to know. So here again, make plays for the runes. Here, mid is like good. My clock is mid. And I decide to run to this bounty, which we see. I have my brood close by. And I don't remember in the game. I think I was just like, oh, this haste is going to wear out anyways. I can use the bottle charges and then go refill here. Bottle charges are so important on Zeus. I made a Zeus guide recently. You can go check it out. But I talk about playing around the runes a lot in that video. So I'm backpacking everything. Tip 3, backpack everything, get the most out of it, and then play for these runes. So I sneak this rune from Lesh, and I've got a haste going. I'm like, all right, I'm just going to screw with this guy. And then my clock shows up, and you know, this Lesh is like playing in Brute's territory. So we actually turn this into another kill on this Lesh, which is just huge. And this is just because I'm playing around the rune timings. And yeah, obviously that haste rune was lucky, but why did I have that haste rune? It's because I played around the rune at the 8-minute timing. And why did I get it and Mirana didn't get it at 8 minutes? Because I thought about him being there and made sure I didn't get hit by the random arrow. So 10 minutes, what am I doing? Waiting for a rune to spawn. So just make sure this is a habit, guys. If you play mid, the runes are so important. I mean, I could have just made a video called Play for Runes, but that's like kind of boring. And these 6-tip videos I think are really nice because it gives you like kind of a broader overview than just like 1 tip. But play for the runes, guys. They're so important. If you play mid and you're just at every rune, like go watch any high MMR mid player. They're at every rune. They're at every rune. Like, I'm not good at mid. I don't like do all the creep aggro stuff right. I don't like pressure in the exact right situations. But like I'm just at every rune and I just pick up every rune and like their Lesh isn't getting runes even though he's like ahead of me. Like what is he doing? I don't know. I'm playing for the runes. He's not, and that's what's keeping me in this game. I'm not like ahead of this Lesh by any means. Like he's like doing really well compared to net worth, but he's not getting the runes. He's not increasing his advantage. And we're going to come back here to tip number 5, or tip number 4, sorry, of keeping your tower alive. It's also important to just recognize when you can't do it. So here, they've got a bunch of heroes mid, and they've got a catapult. And I'm like, okay, I can't keep my tower alive as we watch these replay bugs. So what I do instead is I just back off. I'm not even looking, but on the minimap, I backed off, you can see. And I was just scouting top to see if I needed to ult, but I didn't put myself in danger to protect this like low HP tower at this point. So we did lose our tower 11 minutes, not ideal, but it is a Lesh, and he was beating me. So the fact that we kept it alive this long, I think is decent, right? He could, if I wasn't playing to keep him off the tower earlier, he might have taken it like 9 minutes, and then you know, the whole 9-minute rotation might not have happened. You know, these things really do all stack up and matter. All right, and we've got another rune coming up. Lo and behold, it is 12 minutes. I am waiting for a rune to spawn. I'm here. You just have to know. You just have to know. Like, this isn't like advance. It's just like discipline and paying attention to the clock and just having it ingrained that is the only thing that matters when you play mid is like being at the runes. Here you can see I'm backpacking again, backpack my neutral item, backpack my arcane boots for the bottle charges. And we're getting into tip number 6 here. Okay, we're rewinding a little bit. There is one note I want to make, and this is tip number 6. I forgot to introduce tip number 6 when I intended to, so we're going to come back to it. So it's immediately after this play happens. So tip number 6 is pay attention to where your carry is and let them take your lane if they need it. If your carry's having a hard time, my Drow's not doing so hot, neither is Ursa, but my Drow's not doing so hot. He needs mid lane. So what I do is I start to walk towards mid, and then I see my Drow's there, and I'm like, you know what? My Drow needs this farm. So I just let him have it. I just let him have it. Let your mid take the mid lane if they, let your carry take the mid lane if they need it. You know, do something else. You know, it depends on your heroes to like what exactly you can do. I was kind of in a weird spot because the Brood's taking the bottom jungle, and I was already bottom, and then the Drow was mid. I could have like walked to this triangle and farmed like one camp maybe. It was kind of an inefficiency for me. I was sort of spaced out. I didn't realize like Drow was there until I got there. So I kind of wasted my own time, but I did let him have the farm. So that's really important, and I'm going to cover that in one other moment too. Okay, so I think I covered this once before, but I had to rewind for tip 6. We're back here on the rune. We just picked it up at 12. We've got the 12-minute rune. Just want to show you here, I'm going to spawn these illusions, but then I'm going to use some of these bottle charges, and I'm going to backpack my arcane boots and my neutral item. These flat mana, like 200 mana neutral items, really important to backpack these, really efficient. It's almost as much mana as the arcane boots. So if you're backpacking both of these, I'm reducing my total mana by 550 at this point. That's a big deal when you're considering this 60 flat bottle charge, like, and how it will increase percentage-wise. If you don't know how it works, like go watch a video on like why backpacking is important to begin with. I'm not going to explain that here, but it's a big deal to keep doing it as the game progresses. Like it's more important to do it now than it was like when I had just 2 iron branches, right? And this is going to be the second part of tip number 6. We pushed in mid. I got the rune. It's like, what do I do? So let's look at the map right now. I could sit mid, but like I have some time. And what happens is I walk bottom towards this Marcy. And what I'm doing is I'm not ganking Marcy here. You might think like, well, you go down there and you kill him. But what I'm actually doing here is I'm just farming away from my carry. Because like a lot of times what people do is they'll just like walk back here and like farm these 2 jungle camps. And then this drow who's like having a tough time trying to recover doesn't get these 2 jungle camps. So what I am doing here is I'm going away from my drow. And then I end up just walking at this Marcy because it seems weird that he's down here by himself and we get this kill. But the tip here is play away from your carry and don't like farm towards them when you need to farm. And here again, we kill the Marcy. My drow is continuing her rotation and it's leaving her to the mid lane, so I let her take the mid lane, guys. Pay attention to what your carry is doing and make sure you're not impeding on their farm. You're the position 2, unless you're playing a position 1 from the mid. So let them, make sure you let them farm if they need to. Don't like walk towards them and take their farm and make it really awkward for them. It helps if you play carry sometimes to like kind of understand this. Like I play carry more than I play mid. So like I know this drow does not want his Zeus walking up and like taking the mid wave of farm, forcing him to like not get farm or like make a really inefficient farming pattern. So that's tip number 6. It's important to do. Like mid lane is really important to like consider like, am I getting in my carry's way? Like am I making my life harder for my carry or easier? So the rest of this video, as you can see, I died there to this Mirana who chased me all the way down. Kind of sucked. Is just going to be noting these rune timings. So 14, I'm dead. Can't get the rune. Such is life. But we're going to be talking about the rune timings and if we're expecting the enemy to be there. So let's skip ahead real quick to this 15-minute rune. 15-minute rune. 16-minute rune. The bounties are less important in this phase. Like, it's mostly about the power runes. So here, we kill this Ursa top. And this is actually a mistake for me. What I should do here, because there's nothing else to do. Like, we killed him. The lane's pushing in. Like, I'm a Zeus. I don't like stick around here and get ganked by like a Marcy, right? So what I should do here, like, and I don't need to be in this part of the map continuously. Like, I could just sit here and like AFK farm for a bit, which is kind of what I do. But what I should do here, and what a good mid player will do here, is they'll walk to the 16-minute rune. What the heck? Spoiler alert, I die in a second. A good player here will walk to the 16-minute rune. They'll literally walk and be here at 16 minutes, and then if it's not here, they'll like come get this rune. That is 100% what I should have done here. And, you know, this is later on in the game. I'm not a regular mid player. I should know this, but like I just don't. I should have just walked to the rune here. I got lazy, I got sloppy, didn't walk to the 16-minute rune. So this is just a misplay for me. And as we see, I'm sitting up here, AFK farming, and then I see them all coming on this ward, and I thought I could get away, and then I walked to here and TP'd out instead of being out of vision, and then I died to this Marcy, so, you know, cool stuff, cool stuff. And let's zoom ahead to the 18-minute rune. We respawned, we're stacking this camp. I could have gone for the rune instead of this, but I like kind of like saw what their team was doing, but we're here, we pick up the rune. It's less important to be at the rune right at the minute if your team has the map control, to like, you know, I wasn't worried they were going to get the rune versus sometimes you have to be. And one other thing I want to show you guys here is even at this phase, 19 minutes, I'm going to backpack my items here to use these bottle charges. And this stuff just matters. And by the way, don't backpack your Kaya. The mana regen amplification works on the bottle. So don't backpack the Kaya. Backpack everything else though. Arcane boots, the neutral items, etc. I think that's the last time I do it this game. Yeah, this is the last time I backpack because after this point I get the Aghanims. But, and then at that point, your mana just like kind of gets high enough to where it's like not as important. You can still do it. It's not bad. This is the last time I do it in this game, but it's like all the way at 19 minutes. I'm still like backpacking to get that mana efficiency. And so here at 20 minutes, I think I walk straight back to base here, but I think with the 20-minute rune coming up, I think I should walk top right now to this top bounty rune. I think I should walk here. Because if it's like an arcane or a regen, like I'm freaking set, right? And you know, if it's a DD or illusion, whatever, you know, I can still go back to base after, but it's important to like get these runes and deny them from the opponent. So I think I should have walked to the rune again here at 20. And then just to show you the 20, even the 22-minute rune, guys. Let's watch how much emphasis I put on this 22-minute rune. is I get this D ward. I'm paying super close attention to the runes. Alright. We got the bounty rune. That's what's important here in this phase of the game. Pay attention to your runes, guys. It's the only thing that matters for mid. You know, I'm telling you this is not a mid player, but, you know, I think I do, like, this macro phase of mid playing better than, like, a 4 or 5k mid spammer does. And that's why I can play mid at this level. Even though I'm not dominating my lane, I'm at every rune, almost. I consider it, like, far into the game. You know, I'm not perfect at it, obviously, but we're making these macro decisions about the runes, and we're considering if the opponent's going to be there, and all that stuff really matters. So hopefully this video helped you out. Let me know if you have any questions, or if you just want to dunk on my mid, let me know in the comments about how bad I am, and I'll catch you in the next one. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't already, sub to the channel. And if you want to be coached by me, check the link in the video description. You can join my Discord there, and there's all the information there on how to sign up.